going to be a fun one here. I'm joined by Matt Belman. We had a fun show last night. Tonight, even more games. So we're going to be very diligent. FanDuel decided to leave off the late game. That would be the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But DraftKings is including it. Game is about 2 hours after all of the rest of our action, which goes off in two waves. The first at 6 o'clock, the second at 7 o'clock. Matt, tell me you had a good showing here. Tell me you had a good showing last night with your lineups because you had Nick Claxton, your nuke of the night with Aaron Gordon was solid. How is everything going there?
Yeah, it was good. Unfortunately, I didn't have any Jabari Walker. Klingon, even with Robert Williams out, wasn't very good. Uh, Jabari Walker, man, that Portland game ended up playing out real weird. Portland just destroyed them. No one really got there except for Kamara and Jabari Walker. So just a weird night. Some plays got there, some plays didn't. On to the next slate.
Yeah, I was kind of all over the board. I did pretty well on FanDuel, not great on Yahoo, and lost about 20% on DraftKings, which is not a bad night there when you're entering 100 lineups. So it was just very interesting. I went to bed probably around 11 o'clock last night. Didn't make it very late. I had hoped to watch more of that final game, but I just lost steam. There was a lot going on. It was a busy day yesterday. Alrighty, so let's look at some of our injury news here. We have quite a bit actually. Most importantly, Washington has decided to uh, rest their recent acquisitions. That's going to be Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton. They're out. Rookie Alex Sarr is out with I believe he's out with the sore ankle. We have Malcolm Brogdon out. So the front court looking real thin there in Washington. So we're going to be looking at Rashawn Holmes, who is really their only center, unless they want to put I don't even know who they're going to put there. Bilal Coulibaly, maybe George. It's a mess there. Now, fortunately, they don't really have a tall, big front court to go against with Wendell Carter Jr. and I guess Goga, but that makes the Orlando front court look really appealing. If we move on to the later games, Jakob Poeltl's still out. I thought he'd be back by now. Another center who was out is Rudy Gobert. That's kind of a surprise. I mean, he missed the last game before the All-Star break with back spasms, and now he hasn't played since then, which is just a little bit surprising. Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo remain out. They might be back by next weekend, or they're about a week away, is what it sounds like. I think that hits most of our moving parts here. Pat Connaughton is out. That doesn't really matter. I think that covers everything, and Jalen Suggs remains out, as does Malcolm Brogdon. So that's we got a little bit of wackiness here with our
The only
Washington.
thing, oh yeah, the only thing I didn't hear you mention that I think is big is Darius Garland, questionable, as is Jared Allen. I don't know, maybe you did say those guys, but I
No,
don't
I
think
I
Garland
didn't.
played.
They both were at shoot
No,
around.
Garland was not at shoot
Oh,
around.
was he not?
Yeah,
Oh, you
Allen
are
was,
correct. He
Garland
was
was
not.
not.
Yeah.
So that's something at least to keep an eye on. I don't know. I don't, as of like the shoot around report, my assumption would be Garland does not play, Allen does, but just something to keep an eye on.
No, that's a good point because that would bring Ty Jerome potentially to the forefront. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, and then it makes
Greg
Evan
Porter.
Mobley look really good as well. Oh, Craig Porter Jr.
I mean, he would be coming in
How
play.
wild is it how many Porter Juniors there have been in the league in the last few years? So was it five? It's pretty crazy.
A
Pretty
lot of
crazy.
just Porters in general. I don't know. My mind's taking me to Michael Porter Jr., Craig Porter Jr., and Otto Porter. Who am I missing?
Kevin Porter Jr.
Kevin Porter Jr. Yeah, you're right.
I did Otto Porter. Now I'm missing one, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe there was four. Maybe there was four. Chat will let us know for sure. What they need is a basketball player with the last name Junior and the first name Porter.
Well,
That
there's
would
good old
just
Jonte Porter too.
but his brother is the
Does he
junior.
count? Yeah, exactly. But he's still a Porter. So if Otto
Yeah.
counts,
Yes. No, Otto Porter is Otto Porter Jr.
oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even.
Ah!
Yeah. Wow. It all comes full circle.
All right, now Chad is riled up saying, damn it, EMac, let's talk some basketball. Absolutely, we're going to talk some basketball. So welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Last chance to get the welcome back $1 special for your DFS NBA love. That you get access through the 28th, from today to the 28th for $1. Check that out. The promo code welcome back. We'll go back to game by game, or pardon me, back to by position today, because there is a lot of moving parts here. So kind of at the top, we have a lot of good guard options. The guy I like the best is Cade Cunningham. You may not know this, Matt, but not once, but twice have the Detroit Pistons won 5 games in a row. They're currently on a 5-game winning streak right now. The last time they won 5 in a row was March of 2019. That is a long time ago. If you look at the game logs for Kevin Porter, see, now I'm going to do this myself. If you look at the game logs for Cade Cunningham, you will see, oh, they look a little odd his last 3 games. He's only getting to around 40 fantasy points. It's because they've been blowouts. The Pistons have won by 40, 18, and 15. 2 of those games were against Chicago, and then they won or their first game back from the All-Star break. Cunningham has personal bests with 35.5 minutes, 21 field goal attempts, 6 boards, almost 10 assists. He's third now. He was second for a while, but he slid to third with Nikola Jokic and Trae Young ahead of him. 12th overall in the scoring race, 24 double-doubles in his 51 games, 8 triple-doubles. Pretty awesome. Oh, and the last thing you need to know, why I like him, he's not getting the popularity as much as I would like to see for someone that has one of the best median fantasy projections today. But he has, let me see here, 29 times he has in 51 starts, he has 50 or more DraftKings points. That's pretty impressive. So 57% of the time, he gets 50 or more fantasy points on DraftKings, 42% of the time on FanDuel. So that's the guy I wanted to tee up. The rest of the world is your oyster, Matt. What do you like at the guard position?
I like Cade Cunningham. I can't remember the last time that Trae Young was tops on the boom bust tool, and that's the case today in a matchup against Cade Cunningham in Detroit. I like Trae Young a lot. I like him more than Cunningham, price considered. Certainly, if they were the same price, I would prefer Cunningham, but um, no, they're not. Trae Young's $1,000 cheaper. I like the spot he's in. He's my favorite spend up guard. Cole Anthony looks like the best guard play in general. Like, price considered again, 5,100, playing really good ball right now. Gets this Washington matchup. I like a lot of Orlando, and Cole Anthony is probably my second favorite piece, not my first, but my second, and he's only 5,100. He looks really good here.
Yeah, so Cole Anthony, he has some interesting uh, stats, I should say, for him. The last 2 games, he's been getting heavy minutes, which has been very nice. In he also has a decent chance of blowout run. Now there's Anthony Black. It's also there, but with no Jalen Suggs, it makes sense that we may see a little more Cole Anthony here. He has, let's see, in the last 4 games where he's played at least 26.5 minutes, he has 40 fantasy points 3 times, and I think it was 35 in the other. Those would be 2 of the last games here that he has played. So that is some nice upside there. There's volatility in that, but he gets to go against the worst defense in the league here. So he's an interesting guy. How are you feeling about De'Aaron Fox without Victor Wembanyama? We've seen remember, people were besmirching the good name of Aaron Fox. Oh, he's not been playing as well since he left Sacramento. He had 2 bad games, one in Orlando against a great defense, and one in Boston, also against a great defense. Aside from that, he has continued to be stellar in his 5 other appearances. He has had 45 or more fantasy points. So let's give him a bit of a mulligan. I think he has 50 fantasy points in 2 of those. He should be pushing for 20 field goal attempts the rest of the way without Wembanyama here. So I think he is another interesting guy up at the top, along with Cade Cunningham. How do you feel about Fox and Chris Paul getting a lot of love there on FanDuel?
I like Fox. He's been playing really good ball. His price tag's up there though. There's other guys I like more at his tag, but certainly his upside's real at 8,800 in a good spot, which should be a competitive game. I like Zion a lot on the other side of him, and if I would not be surprised if Fox puts up another really big score. The price is getting up there though for him. I don't know how much higher it's going to get for Fox. It could get 9K plus, but I think it's going to stabilize around here. I don't think you're overpaying for him. I just don't think he stands out as like a great value play.
Yeah, and these are all good points. Where these guys are going to come into play here is we have all that front court value with potentially Orlando Robinson for Toronto. We have a reasonably priced Wendell Carter Jr., who has worked his way into additional minutes here since rejoining the first five over the last two games. Obviously, Rashawn Holmes. Depending on your side of choice, he could come into prominence as well. So that is going to give us some money to spend. There are a few different spend up options today. And the one interesting thing is there's not one standout player when we look at the median fantasy projections, because you've got Cunningham, who is tops on both sides. FanDuel is not playing or does not have that final game of the night in their contest. Otherwise, he's a couple points behind Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, but they're 1 and 2 today. You have Trae Young, Giannis in there as well. Anthony Edwards, all in the kind of the 50s, so or upper 40s, approaching 50. So it makes for some interesting decision points here. Chris Paul, I heard Josh talking about it on one of his shows as a potential buyout candidate. And this is one where we could see, with Pop not rejoining the team for the rest of the season, obviously when Wembanyama out, they're kind of meandering, which not to be surprised when you lose such a phenomenal player like Wembanyama, but they were going to be hard pressed to get out of the play-in tournament anyway. We could see him, getting a hat tip. Thanks for coming around, because he's going to be 40 here relatively soon, and he wants to chase a championship here, so he could be a buyout at some point, which means I don't think we're going to see hardcore minutes for him. They've got some young guys to play there. We saw Jeremy Sohan play a little bit of a facilitator role last year with Wembanyama, just to kind of branch out his skills. Now he might get a bit of run at the center position. So it's kind of interesting there. But circling back, how do you feel about the fragility of Chris Paul's production tonight?
I don't love Chris Paul here. I just think there's too many better plays. One of you guys got to let me on playback too when you get a chance. I had to hop out.
Yep.
And yeah, I think Chris Paul is just too thin here. I wouldn't have him like out of my pool if I were 150ing, but like he doesn't look like someone that is worth. I don't know why we're talking about him, to be honest. Like, why did he even? I guess he looks decent at 6K. I like the buyout, sure, maybe he gets bought out, but on this slate, like, no, especially if we get Jerome, Craig Porter. I just think he looks like another play. Nothing really bad to say about him, but nothing good either. He'd be in my pool if I were 150ing.
Sure, sure. On the blue side, he becomes a little more popular. He's actually 5,800, so below the DraftKings price. His popularity was cresting towards 50% in the early runs, obviously getting some of the other value plays that have popped up with Orlando Robinson, etc. He has slid back down, but he's the third most popular play, going to be on about 1/3 of the lineups. I think it's a little bit of a trap there, just because what is his actual upside here? And if he's playing, 24 to 28 minutes, just sort of, getting things done, I guess, is one way to look at it. But I think he's a bit of a risk there. So for those of you playing on the blue side, I want to be a little under um, uh, Chris Paul on that one. Let's see.
It does make more sense on FanDuel, like you were saying, though. He's cheaper there, and his scoring, like what he does, plays out better there, anyways. All right, finally got playback working, so there we
You're
go.
good to go on playback. All of a sudden, I heard your voice twice, so I'm like, oh, it's working now for that. So,
Yeah, for some reason, the past two times, the last show we did also, I didn't even realize my mic didn't connect. So I had to go back and connect it. So now I'm good. I should be good to go.
and to tell everybody what happened just before the show, what were you looking for?
Oh, I was looking for my headphone because my
And
daughter
why
hit
were you
it.
looking for your headphones?
Well, I had the case. I thought both of them were in there the whole time, but they were both not in there. So I had to go on a semi-wild goose chase to find the other one, but I finally pried the info out of her.
And who was helping Daddy with work?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
Mine has one up. I dropped one and my dog immediately put a tooth mark on it. So I can only imagine having a toddler with two fun little things that could be easily hidden somewhere. At some point, you're going to find it in a plant or something. So
I lost it once, like for weeks, and it's just like you said. This is exactly what you're saying. I lost it for weeks. We couldn't find it. We looked everywhere. Finally, went to do something like we were grilling something, and she had put it like inside one of the compartments in the grill outside. So, like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. This is not my first time dealing with this. I'm sure it won't be my last.
oh, good times. Good times. Speaking of good times, Trey Murphy getting a lot of field goal attempts here. He is putting up a borderline all-star numbers, and that should continue going forward with obviously Brandon Ingram now in Toronto and DeJounte Murray out for the season. He gets a decent matchup here against San Antonio, kind of makes for another intriguing option. And then we've got kind of in that middle area, you've got Dyson Daniels, Desmond Bain, and Tyler Hero all being reasonably represented in tournaments here. Nobody's standing out amongst each other, but what that's doing is it's making them have very neutral boom bust scores, and that's where if you have a strong feeling for one of those or two of those guys, you can have some leverage against the field by going easily going high on it, which is something we don't always see. Tougher matchup going against Detroit. The Detroit defense has actually been reasonably good over the last 15 games. Atlanta, of course, not as good of a defense. Big difference between their last 15 and their last 10, but this is one of the higher scoring games there. So looking at Young and Daniels is interesting. Do you like those guys? You hit a little bit on Young, but what about Daniels, Bain, Hero as we wrap up the guard position?
Yeah, I like Young more than those guys. I think those guys, again, it's not the biggest slate. It's not a small slate either, though. I think Hero, 8,400. He's kind of like Fox to me. Like, they both look good. I think Fox looks probably better, but will also be higher owned. So I think that's a reasonable pivot in tournaments. Donovan Mitchell at 8,400 is right in that group. I think this could be a competitive game. I don't love the spot against Memphis, but it's not an awful spot. And this game, I think, is going to be competitive, especially if you get Garland out. So the Cavs guards are guys I'm keeping an eye on. And I mentioned it earlier. Cole Anthony, the top guard on the slate, 5,100 point guard and shooting guard eligible. He should come preloaded in all your cash game and small tournament lineups.
All right, let's work our way over to the forward position here. In the meantime, though, I do want to mention we talked about the promo code Welcome Back that gets you a $1 access to any NBA package that we would like to have, which does include the Max Sims package for NBA. Those prices will go back to regular pricing on March 1st, but you can still get that for another 5 days. So definitely give that some consideration. Just $1 promo code Welcome Back. We have the Odd Shopper promo code that ends today. 75% off a 1-month subscription. That is promo code return. So you'll want to give those considerations before they disappear like dust in the wind. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy. All right.
Good reference. Good reference.
You got to work that one in every now and then. Asar Thompson, Jaden McDaniels. Who else do we have? Bain, multi-position eligibility. Bilal Coulibaly, that guy he could end up playing some front court minutes tonight, which is just crazy. What do you think at forward here? Is there anybody that stands out? It's like almost everybody has multi-position eligibility who's a forward on both sides. That's kind of interesting.
I'm going to go to your boy right here, a guy you've called out numerous times so far this year. I'm on the train now. Zion Williamson, my
All
favorite
right.
forward.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just so good. I mean, he's so good. You wish you could just squeeze out a few more minutes from him because he is just insane when he's on the court. He does everything. like he's like not quite, but he's like Jokic like in his production when he's actually on the floor. Again, not quite, but he's about the closest thing there is to it right now. And I love this matchup against San Antonio with no Wemby. They got nothing inside. Zion is going to eat here. Again, game that should be competitive. Zion's my favorite forward. I like the Osar Thompson call out though. Like I think he's one of the better pieces of Detroit to get after. It's a good matchup against Atlanta. Small forward's pretty weak outside of like the spend up options, but I do like Zion a lot here.
Yeah, it's Zion is, I think he's what, 22 games on the season here. Let me see if I did some notes on that. Let's see. He has put up 40 fantasy points in 11 of his last 13 games. Of those 11 games, 4 have been 50 fantasy points or more. Now he's not getting the minutes in these. He's getting right around upper 20s. In some 24 to 28 is kind of the range where he's been at here. But that is some serious production there. So he is actually on the secret side. He's going to be in my one lineup over there for sure. Guy we didn't mention back at the guard position. I liked him the other night, Jose Alvarado. A little bit tougher tonight for him because he's going against the equivalent of 2 competent point guards. What is his best attribute? Getting multi-steal games. That could be a little tougher tonight against Chris Paul, against De'Aaron Fox. So I'm not as enthralled by him as his price is increasing. He's a I'm trying to do a 2v2 with him on Yahoo, and I'm trying to not play him, but it's becoming a little difficult here. But oh, loves his carrots. Do I look a little orange? I did have roasted carrots for dinner tonight. Yes, I said dinner. We ate at 4:30 tonight because my mom wanted to eat before the show. So she's like, old people need time to digest. We're gonna eat dinner early. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll just call it a late lunch. We're gonna have blueberry pie afterwards. So perhaps my orange will turn a little more blue. But wrapping that up, Zion, pretty good. What happens with Kelly Olynyk? What happens with Missy? The three of them started the last game together. It was James Earl Robinson who was the DNP CD. Do you think we see Olynyk going forward in the starting spot when Zion is healthy?
Yeah, starting Zion at the 3, starting I kind of thought that they would not do that and start Alvarado at point guard. Maybe they mix it up, but maybe they just start Olynyk and he doesn't play huge minutes. I don't know what they're planning on doing going forward. Not like they were playing a big team in Dallas last time out either. So I don't know. Well, it's a good call out to be like at least thinking about it though.
Yeah, and when everybody's healthy, that's capping each other's minutes because we know Zion is just going to be limited anyway to 24 to 28. But the other guys sort of crowd each other out, and then it gets, we could see a hot hand approach. We could see a variety of things here. We know Kelly Olynyk is still a good fantasy point per minute producer here, and while his salary is low, he is someone that is interesting, I think. Looking at the Washington matchup, the Wizards are what 13.5 point underdogs here, but we have Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero getting that great matchup there against Washington. Any thoughts on those guys?
Oh, I love Banchero here. I mean, last game he had 3 fouls in the first quarter, didn't play the second quarter, ended up being okay in the second half. It's Banchero is about to go nuts here. I love him here. I just hope the game can stay kind of competitive. But if it doesn't, Banchero is going to be a big reason why. So I like him a ton. I like Wendell Carter. I like Wagner, but I like Banchero and I like Zion more. So it's kind of cutting me off him. But yeah, I think that I mean, Orlando's in one of the best spots of the night.
All right. Chat, what do you guys think about a dummy lineup there? Is that the perfect person to talk about their dummy lineup? You guys need to go back and watch the show with Josh. He had a nice little repartee there with someone on his chat show. I caught the first 10 minutes. It was funny. It was very funny. Why, yes, noticing that is a great idea. I really should have my mom set up some sports wagering accounts across the different sites. Sadly, there's only one site here in Florida. But I'm going to drop this link into chat here. We've got the link join promotion that is still going on. You guys can click on that link, see 11 different options from multiple operators where you can get not only their bonus offers, but also a month of your choice of any Stokastic Sims sports product. Probably want to focus on NBA right now, but if you want to bank something for MLB, we can do that for you as well. You will see the instructions there. All we need is you to sign up through our link. Give us a screenshot of your first wager or pick'em card settling in and your welcome email, and we will make sure to get that. You send that to support@stokastic.com, and we will get you hooked up. Read the fine print, but this is an easy way to get in either to NBA or stack up some MLB because that is right around the corner here. Okay, let's see who we have missed in our meandering path as we have gone and looked at the forwards here. So we talked, you know who slipped through? That would be Kevin Durant. That would be Devin Booker. That would be RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Scotty Barnes. We didn't mention anybody from this game yet. Are we missing something here with Phoenix and Toronto?
I don't really like the Phoenix guys, but RJ Barrett looks really good here. I was going to call him out under the guards, but figured he'd wait till forward. Projects for 38 plus fantasy points at 7,300, dual position eligibility. He's playing good ball. I like RJ Barrett. I'm not worried at all about the matchup. He's the best play, the best spend up option for Toronto in my mind. Very good look at small forward. Again, I said it's not a deep position. I like Zion a lot. Pretty big gap after him, then Barrett, then a pretty big gap after him. So yeah, I could definitely get on board with Barrett. After that, Barnes a little bit pricey. Quickly looks okay. But it's really Barrett or nothing for me there. And then Phoenix, I'm good on Phoenix. Like Durant, always in play, but they're healthy. He's pricey. I'm good.
God, I am going to end up playing Corey Kispert as my last man in on this Yahoo lineup. That is just a sad, sad state of affairs. I mentioned Kispert because the Washington Wizards are running very, very thin today. So tough matchup. But someone is going to get field goal attempts. At least Kispert can sort of he's good on catch and shoot, and he's not afraid to do some dribble drives here and there, and we could see some sloppy garbage time if the Magic defense holds firm through the first half, and then they give some of their players the latter stages of the game off. So Corey Kispert it is. Oh, but I trust him a little more than say Bub Carrington or George or Koulibaly, etc. Because at least we know Kispert has the ability to be a scorer against decent competition. So a little extra volume, he could do something with it, or his shot could be off and it could suck. But that is what happens here. Do you like anybody from the Miami game? Or the Miami side here going against the Bucks?
You called out Hero a little bit ago. He's always in play going back home. I think this game's in Milwaukee. Always intriguing there. Bam, playing good ball. He was awful last game until it went to overtime and then got there. I could see going back to Bam, although talked about other guys who just like more Bankero, uh, Zion. I like, RJ Barrett price considered a little bit more. So just tough to get there as someone who's making one lineup, but I don't mind the Miami guys, just no priorities for me.
Yeah, the one I did end up on is taking the under on Tyler Hero. I wrote that up for his 6.5 assists. I wrote that up in the DFS Building Blocks article, which free every day on the Stokastic homepage, and I always put in a wager that I use using Portfolio EV. So interesting things about that particular that particular wager is it went from even money basically to minus 135. So that's like a 3.5% hit just from the jump there, just by not acting quickly on a wager. Now, I was looking at that to sort of see, hey, what's going to happen here? Because you have Tyler Hero, who has been getting a fair amount of assists, but we also have Scary Terry in the mix there. You've got Davion Mitchell, who has been playing more minutes. He's a capable secondary facilitator. Obviously, Bam Adebayo, a capable secondary facilitator. Duncan Robinson can make that extra pass. Point being here, the scoring, I think, is going to be more important tonight for Tyler Hero in this game than him actually kind of conducting the offense. Plus, with the way Miami works, they don't have to have one dominant facilitator. So I took the under on that one, but I would not at this price. Were you surprised that who was there? Oh, damn it, I can't think of his name. The second year player for Miami was a DNP last night. They're do everything forward. Who?
Jaquez?
Yes. Yes. How
He
is
was a
he out
DNP
of the
coach's decision.
rotation? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He's been kind of in and out of the doghouse. That's crazy, though. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and it was interesting because it was Davion Mitchell that got a lot of the minutes. Obviously, Wiggins did as well, right? Those guys came in at the trade deadline here as part of the Jimmy Butler deal here. But I thought that Jaime Jaquez was just going to be kind of a player going forward because he can do a little whatever they kind of need. But to see him a DNP, I get when you see James Earl Robinson or some of those other guys that end up being DNPs, right? Not him. Right? I mean, he was a prominent player last year in the starting lineup, playing some crunch time minutes, and all of a sudden
I
he's
love
out
how
of
you
the
call.
mix.
I
Like,
love how you've called him James or Robinson three
damn
times
it, I
now.
did that. I knew as soon as I said that, I was like, man, that was
I know
wrong. But
exactly who you're talking about, and so does everyone else, so it works.
I know, but James Earl Jones, this is CNN. Good times, good times. Darth Vader voice. Boy, you know what? I'm officially old. I had dinner at 4:30 tonight, and I'm already confusing players' names. Just send me to bed early. I'm gonna have a nice piece of blueberry pie. We're gonna watch that young whippersnapper Robert De Niro. I think it's called Zero Year. We're gonna start that series tonight, and then we're gonna go to bed early. It's great. It's great, Matt. I moved to Florida and I've become really old all of a sudden. This is awesome. This is awesome. The pivot position here. So you've got Wendell Carter Jr. standing out. He has moved into the starting lineup. That is key. If he ends up not in the starting lineup, and I bet we're going to get some starting lineups here soon, that kind of costs him another 4 to 6 minutes. Do we have their starting lineup? Does not look that way. But he is someone that has been getting the rebounds. He should have his way against the Wizards front court here. So he is someone I think we look at the center position. You've got Onyeka Okongwu that has been very boomer bust, either getting 40 plus or under 30. So if you want to roll the dice on him, I think that's decent. You've got Duran for Detroit, who has really picked things up and consolidated those center minutes there. His salary is increasing as a result of that, but I think he is someone that we can give some consideration to. Obviously, Adebayo is there, and then Brook Lopez suddenly pressed into more duty without Bobby Portis in the mix there. I don't know that I want to trust a 36 or 37-year-old center in a tough matchup, but those are kind of the guys at the pivot position. Who do you have on your short list?
So I think centers are always a really good position. I think two of the best plays on the entire slate are at center here, and they're Wendell Carter, still way too cheap for the starting role, playing around 30 minutes a game against Washington. And then Orlando Robinson, I mean, 3,600, playing 30 minutes. If that's what he's going to do, he's a phenomenal value. A little bit worried about him here with like Phoenix and their propensity to not use a big, but I mean, they're going to start Richards, and if they start Robinson here, he's 3,600 at a position where it's pretty easy to accumulate fantasy points. So Robinson and Carter, I mean, those guys as of now, I think are two of the three highest owned plays on the slate, but it's warranted. I think that those guys look really, really good. And then the other guy that stands out to me is Okongwu. 6,100 is still too cheap for him. I struggle to play him over Carter and Robinson, though, just because of the savings you get. That said, we don't have like anyone really over 10K outside of Cunningham that you're even trying to get up to. So if you can get to Okongwu over an Orlando Robinson smoothly and not really sacrifice a ton elsewhere, which I think is going to be hard to do, than play him. But I'd rather play Robinson and get up elsewhere. So for me, center's pretty easy. This slate is pretty easy. I think there's clear cut, like really, really good plays on this slate, and Carter and Robinson are two of them.
Yeah, it's the only other thing, and this isn't going to be on FanDuel, this is DraftKings and Yahoo, is Nas Reed. Just because the Rudy Gobert continuing to be out is going to push minutes towards him. Not an easy matchup there against Isaiah Hartenstein and um, Chet Holmgren, but it's interesting. So I'm looking at Orlando Robinson here. What do you think is a reasonable outcome for him? Like 25 fantasy points? Like what do you think his median is? I bet we're right around that, but
Yeah, I mean, he projects for 23 and some change. I think that that's a good projection. I think 25-ish is closer to where I think. But again, he's a center. I think he's got, 10x. I mean, we've seen him play well in the past too. I think there's risk in that he doesn't play. But if he plays 30 minutes, I think we kind of just saw the floor game last time out with only 20 fantasy points. And at 3,600, I'm not dying to get 20 fantasy points, but I'm not, it's not ruining my life either.
no, that's a good call out here. It's interesting there that the 19 is I'm looking, is his high on the season. I see someone in chat mentioning Chris Boucher. There, Toronto has a couple different paths they could go in this game. It's not going to be a safe feeling. If you have strong feelings one way or the other, I lean into that. I just don't have a good read on him. Let's call it some starting lineups here. Orlando is going to be Cole Anthony, KCP, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. We've got everybody that is expected to be available for the Bucks is available. Antetokounmpo, Lillard, Tarian Prince, who missed the last game, and Gary Trent Jr. Tyler Hero was dealing with a sore shoulder. He is good to go today. Bilal Coulibaly, I don't think he's in the starting. Oh, he is in the starting lineup. He was dealing with a sore ankle, but the Wizards, you've got Poole, Carrington, Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, and Rashawn Holmes. Let's see, what else do we have? Beal is back in the starting lineup. It looks like that's going to be the case going forward, along with Royce O'Neal, surrounding the stars. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. You got Nick Richards as your center. Cade Cunningham, Tim Hardaway Jr., Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren. That is as expected. Mostly as expected here. The Hawks, they kind of have one floating position there, but tonight it's going to be Young, Daniels, Risa Shea, Okongwu, and then it's Mohamed Gee, who is in there. And I think that hits everything here.
Or do you think you're going to do anything to prepare for Garland and or Allen, or are you just going to let it ride? Because there are a bunch of, like, a lot of the good plays are in these early games, so it's going to be hard to backload. Like I'm playing one lineup. I think I'm going to play Jerome. I think he's a fine play either way. But how good do guys like Mitchell and Mobley look if Garland is out to you?
So for me, I'm just doing one lineup on Yahoo, but I did of that 7 o'clock game, I'm going with Mobley. And that was kind of limiting what I was doing there. Oh, Ty Jerome's a little too expensive for what I need. That's where I was trying to make that Corey Kispert decision point there because I wanted to go with Evan Mobley. I did not want to play Orlando Robinson. Not all $10 players are created equal, and I wanted to go with Nas Reed in my utility slot. And I feel Rashawn Holmes is a far better $11 player than Orlando Robinson would be at all. So I went that route with Zion. But my decision point was I want to play Mobley because it's harder. And this is where you look at the DFS puzzle, right? And this is important for short slates. So it does apply to DraftKings and FanDuel. It's harder to do late swaps on Yahoo with their funky pricing, and nobody has multi-position eligibility. So you kind of have to map out ahead in your mind. You got to think twice, right? Now, if you're working with the Sims, you got the late swap, you got all that happening for you with your computer, figuring out the flexibility with what's going on DraftKings and FanDuel. You don't have that as much on Yahoo. That's why I still like to play over there, just because it's like DFS was in the old days. So it's more of the puzzle kind of piece over there. I probably spent way too much time on it, but it was my second most profitable site last year. So well worth it to me. I made about $6,000 there. So woohoo, good times. All right. Are we missing anything else? As we're 18 minutes away from a lock.
I don't really think so. I mean, it's a pretty, I don't know, for Sunday night slate, there isn't that much news we're waiting on.
Oh, you
It's
had to speak something into existence here.
Well, I mean, it's the NBA. It's nothing like that. I mean, I will say that's the other part about backloading. Like, this does seem like a slate where it's just so easy to play the early guys and let it ride. But what happens when Zion's out or whatever it is? I mean, he's at 7. Or what happens when Anthony Edwards or one of the OKC guys is out? Like, not going to really have room to manipulate roster spots, but backloading always, has its merit. And I think this is a slate where you're foregoing a lot of good plays. I wouldn't like fully backload, but saving a couple spots isn't the worst idea.
All right. It looks like Carrington is being swapped out of the starting lineup for Champagne, Champagne. There's a variety of ways we can say that. But there's going to be another projection run coming in here. And we have, let's see, who just won chat? John G wins chat today. He says, buddy, you may be the most annoying person ever to come into this chat. And that's saying a lot. That is. That is. Shout out Brandon Katz. Shout out Brandon Katz. All righty. Let's make sure I get my lineups in. We have 15 minutes to go. Frank Wright says he's glad it's a Sunday slate. That means Monday's right around the corner. We've got some good slates coming up at this point. We've got kind of a mishmash. Tuesday and Thursday are nicely spread out with the slates, so that's going to be fun. You've got the Monday and Wednesday kind of with the larger game sets here. I like how they're playing now that we're no NBA. We're getting 5 or 6 games on Thursdays, plus it's spread out because of the I guess TNT Thursday night basketball and or ESPN getting those games. So it makes for fun. I know Matt likes everything to go off at the same time here, but there is strategy there. There is strategy. Let's see, 14 minutes. I'm going to kick off a little FanDuel run here. Is there anybody you're not being able to get, or you're not able to get into your lineups at this point, Matt? That is just it's angering you.
No. I mean, that could change, like, depending on the Mitchell Mobley news, or the Garland. I don't know why I said Mitchell Mobley news because they're the guys that would loom if Garland's out. But the Garland news, missed shoot around, never a good sign. Cavs are 6 games up in the East or 5.5 up. Like, they're not going to play these guys if they're hurt. So I'm expecting Garland to sit. And I like Ty Jerome as I think he's like I don't want to say must play, but the best play at 4,200. But Mitchell and Mobley all of a sudden look a lot better too, as do the Struces of the world.
Oh God, Struce. Is the Struce going to be loose?
Probably not, but again, you take out Garland and like I don't think you can play Struce still, especially with DeAndre Hunter there, but Mobley, Mitchell, Jerome, those 3 guys all would look pretty, ranging from pretty good to really good.
This is I like this. The anticipation for tonight. It just you're saying, all right, well, this kind of looks like it's making the decisions are being made for you. But now I'm getting a little trepidatious here with what could break on the late slate. So I'm gonna give some bumps here to some of these Cleveland guys as I build out my FanDuel lineups. So this should be fun. This should be fun. Let's see if we've got anything popping up here in Discord, if I can get to that. You should always at Greg Ehrenberg questions when I am on the show, even if he is not. No main questions there. Let's go see if we got any coming in here. Ooh, we got a super chat here. Oh, they need to hear the Matt Belman nuke of the night. Producer Jacob, we don't always do the nuke of the night graphic, but if you have it already, you can fire it up. If not, Matt can give his nuke of the night. let's just go with Matt's nuke of the night. Who you
So
got, Matt?
the easy choice is Paolo Banchero. Talked about him earlier, but that's too easy. So I'm going to go with Ty Jerome. Priority for me. I like him either way, but if Garland's out, he becomes one of if not the best play on the slate. But either or, like if Garland's in, I still like him. So I'm calling out Ty Jerome as my nuke of the night.
All right, I'm going with Zion Williamson as the nuke of the night. This is when he puts it all together, drops 50 fantasy points. I think it's doable. I mentioned that 11 of his last 13 games, he has 40 or more fantasy points. For those, he has 50 or more fantasy points. I like this particular matchup for him. So that is my call out there. The other guy I'm trying to get above the field on is Cade Cunningham, but hard to have a nuke of the night, who is one of the top two median fantasy projections. I just think he's not quite getting the representation in tournaments that he ought to. It looks like Justin Champagny is getting a lot of love in the latest run here on FanDuel. Let me see what we did with him on DK. So DK Champagny is now our number one most popular play, 52% on FanDuel. He is number one at 49.8%. And just no love for him on Yahoo, where he's $18. That's not a good price. Don't play him there. All right, the nuke of the night. Here we go. Anthony Massey is playing just one lineup on DraftKings tonight, Matt. He is contemplating Trae Young going against Detroit or Anthony Edwards in the late night hammer, the nightcap game, going against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Dorture Chamber as defensive opposition there. Who do you like better between that duo?
I like Trae Young more. Same price. Young projects for more fantasy points. I like the matchup a lot more for Trae Young. I know Ant got there the game before the All-Star break, but I expect a much better defensive effort from this OKC team this time around. So I don't love Minnesota tonight. Trae Young looks like, again, it's a rare day to see him on top of the boom bust tool, but the price is right, the matchup's right. It's the slate for Trae Young, so give me him.
All right. Let's see. Uh, Ty Jerome or Porter Jr., assuming Garland is out.
It's got to still be Ty Jerome. I mean, if you can get there, I like both, but Jerome is gonna. I mean, when Garland is out, I had this pulled up before. Jerome is. I mean, it's Jerome.
Favorite some lineups here. See where I'm at on the old blue side. Oh my God, 88% Justin Champagny. That feels a bit aggressive. 76% Cole Anthony, 62% on Yucca Okongwu. Yikes. Those are some big numbers. I boosted Cunningham here. I got him to 32%. I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to cap everybody else at 70 and see where that comes out. The Champagny news. How are people going to react to that? This is where it's hard to know because your real diehards are playing on Sunday, right? So it's not like people, they built their lineups and they're not really watching. No, everybody's been burned by foolishness on Sundays for NBA when you're not paying attention. So I don't know how many people are going to get to. I think 50 is a good representation for Champagne. Do I want to go to 70? Yeah, I'm going to go to 70. Why not? It's only money, Matt. Is he making your one lineup?
He's not. I think he's a good play. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not changing my whole lineup to get him in there. So I'll put it like that. I think he's a good play, but I like where I'm at before him. So if he breaks the slate tonight, so be it. Kind of like when someone like this all of a sudden becomes really chalky though, because it takes ownership away from, all the other guys, Orlando Robinson, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, him getting love at 6 means that less people are going to be able to get to Ty Jerome. It's just less roster spot, all of the above. So I'm not playing him. I get it, but it's not chalk I'm going to eat.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's upload these lineups here. And we'll build out some DraftKings. We got 8 minutes to go for those of you that are starting to get a little bit nervous. Okay, Brandon Dunn asks, Zion and Champagny or Beal and quickly. I would go with the former because I like
Oh, it's
Zion.
definitely the Zion side. Yeah.
Okay. Let's kick off the old. If you guys wanted to, you could get for just $1 these NBA Sims. Promo code welcome back. Just $1. Just $1. That will get you the access to these $1 through the 28th. It's well worth it. It's well worth it. All righty, let's go to the contest generator. Contest size 5,000. Generate some lineups here. Make sure that I can download this. God, chat is just going gonzo tonight. This is good. It helps out the YouTube algorithm that we have an active set of people in chat. If you guys hit the like button, that will really help us. Remember, it is a gift. We push to get a Sunday show now that NFL is over. So don't disappoint us. Be sure to turn on these Sunday shows because we want to keep giving them to you. But there is a cost associated with doing business, especially when you are doing it for free. So you guys can help us out with the like button. Retweets are always appreciated. Heck, even subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's no cost to that at all.
You know what? Because of all that Champagne talk, I'm changing my nuke of the night. I'm going back to a guy we discussed. I have to do it just because I'm thinking about what I said about lowering the ownership of guys. And there's no one more pertinent that falls under than this guy right here. Asar Thompson. I love him here. I love this spot. He's 5,500 at small forward when you just got a free square at 3,800 Champagne pop up. So Asar Thompson ownership projection went from 15 to 10. Won't even be surprised if it's lower than that. I really like this spot for the other Thompson twin.
The other Thompson twin, yeah, A-Man did not quite get. He wasn't bad. I think he would have had like 37 fantasy points. That was not great, but not bad. It was one of those. I just want to say, hold me now. No one's gonna get that joke. Someone get that joke, please. Thompson twins, they were a band back in the early 80s. Their song "Hold Me Now." No, just me. Am I the only one?
Just you.
Malakar, Sotex. Come on, someone is in chat that's gonna get that one. All righty. Favorite my 100 lineups here. We have 5 minutes to go. An unfettered Sims run has Cole Anthony 83%, Orlando Robinson 65%, Okongwu 59%. Yikes, those are some big numbers there. Well, for starters, I don't want anybody over 65%. Oh, but the Cole Anthony is so good. I'm going to go 65%. That's quite all right. And then I mentioned I really liked Zion. So let's boost him so I'm above the field. And then let's boost Cade Cunningham. So I am above the field. And I think that, wow, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander essentially unowned tonight. 1%. Interesting.
Yeah, talk about spend up to be contrarian.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to a guy that is 10-7 that projects for under 50 fantasy points. I mean, slightly under, but still, like he projects for the same amount as Trae Young. Trae Young's 1,500 cheaper. Ant Edwards projects similarly. So it's just really tough to get to Shai.
Yeah. I boosted him by 20%, and he is still not in any of my lineups. So
what he does do though is give you late exposure. So when you get like all of a sudden Garland and Allen are out, you can jam all those Cavs in.
Yeah, Ty Jerome is currently not coming up at all in our lineups. What is Mobley doing? Mobley is lightly represented. So I'm going to bump those guys up. I'm going to download this because I would like to get this in. And then I'll
See,
still have some flexibility.
I think this is a good talking point too. I'm playing one lineup, kind of built it off the tools. I plugged it into the single lineup simulator, and it's very positive ROI with Jerome right now, who the tools don't really like.
Mhm.
So if nothing else, like this lineup looks really good right now. But if you get Garland out, then probably looks better. So I like where I stand. Doesn't mean anything as far as how tonight's going to actually go, but it gives me feel goods going in at least.
No, and that's a good point because with the way the games are coming in waves, and because he is not uh because Jerome is not really represented in the portfolio at all, you have to make some
Right.
you have to choose to get him into your lineups now. And this is where so we got 2 minutes left, but a variety of ways you can go with this is you can boost his ROI. But if he's not in the crafted lineups that are already there, it's not going to add him more in your lineups. It's just going to elevate the handful of lineups where a player like Jerome is in. What you would need to do is go back to the projections, bump him up by, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 points, run these again and see where he is. Because that you just because you're building out 5,000 lineups and he's in 1% of them, there's not many lineups to choose from here. And
Right.
it's one where you have to sometimes put your thumb on the scale to get certain things to work out. And that we had a good question last night where someone was saying, "What? You're not listening." They said in an appropriate way, like you're doing something different than The Sims. Yes, because it doesn't always get you where you would want to go. But these are situations that The Sims, how can you sim that out?
Right. You have to
That
project
he's
out
going
in
to hit, right?
NBA. Right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't, like, the Sims aren't going to know right now whether, Garland plays or not. They're under the assumption Garland plays because the tools have him in. But if you want to see what it's like with him out or boosting Jerome, which is kind of one and the same, then you have to manipulate the tools a little bit. I'm totally with you.
Hey, you know who's totally with us? We have almost 1,250 people watching. Thank you so much for being here on a Sunday. It will definitely keep us running some Sunday shows. Hit that like button. We're up to 200 likes. I bet you could easily get to 300. That would be something. I can go out and tell Mama Mac that we got 300 likes when we're enjoying our blueberry pie about an hour before I would normally have had dinner. So it's mother-son bonding night tonight. So yeah, that'll be a fun talking point. So let's hit that like button. We would appreciate it. We would appreciate it. Oh wow, we're already up to 260. Look at that go. Look at that go. All right, Matt, that's going to do it for us here. We are officially at lock. So you guys can follow Matt on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. You can find me at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.